Hello. This is kind of an update video to something that most of you didn't notice. So sometimes I do sales, and there's actually a big one coming up. We made, 18 pages of stuff that needs to move on because we get a house to pay for. And some people think it's necessary on these sales to say, oh, why are you selling stuff? Apparently thinking that I'm ultra rich for some reason. Why don't you donate it? It doesn't make a lot of sense to take a boutique guitar and donate it to, Africa or something, because how do you even get it there? What are they going to do with it? That's kind of a waste. It makes sense to take budget instruments, beginner instruments, and donate those, which we did, and then some. My friend Aaron English has a charity, and the question is always, how do you get stuff there? Well, together with the Goethe Institute, we pulled that off, and I made a video about that whole thing and showing you that we loaded up a whole van to the brim of stuff. Nobody gave a flying rat's ass. Kind of sad, because then I still get called on and say, why don't you donate things? And then people don't watch the video where we donate things. Obviously, that wasn't what it was about. Aaron just released a video where he shows the instruments arriving in Africa. They actually made it, and I can't believe that my friends from iMusic Network, Stanford, and Ibanez, Thomann donated boxes. Michiel, oh my God, Louis donated 440s. So many different things, and many private people donated things. I can't believe they actually arrived, and kids are now learning music with these things. It's absolutely heartwarming. When I watched Aaron's video, I had tears in my eyes. It made me very, very happy to have been involved. But why don't I just share his video with you guys? And then you get an update of what happened in case you actually watched the first video, which most of you didn't. But you can tell I'm bitter about that. I just don't understand. It's like everyone's like, do this, and then you do it, and then nobody cares. You know what? The kids in Africa cared, and they're happy, and they're making music with really cool guitars. Thanks to everyone involved in this project. Thanks, Aaron, everyone. Here's Aaron's video.
Hi, I'm Aaron English. I'm a Nashville-based singer-songwriter and the director of the charity, the International Youth Music Project. In 2022 and 23, we completed what is probably our biggest musical mission yet. We collected roughly 1,000 donated pieces of music recording gear, live gear, and musical instruments in Europe, and we delivered them to kids' music programs in East Africa. It's really exciting and a wild adventure that involved generosity and hard work from many, many people on 3 different continents. But let me back up and tell the whole story from the beginning. For the past 9 years, my charity has been supporting music programs for disadvantaged kids around the world by providing instruments and other music gear that have been donated at my gigs in North America and Europe, as well as donated funds to pay the teachers at each program. But our primary focus has been on 3 music schools in East Africa: Simba's Footprints in Tanzania, One Vibe Africa in Kenya, and especially Love to Love in Uganda, where we helped to found a music and dance school and have been paying teachers to offer weekly lessons for almost 9 years now. All 3 of these music programs were in dire need of new music gear and instruments for their recording studios and music lessons. So, in 2021, I played my first European tour since the start of the pandemic. I visited my friend Henning Pauli at 42 Studio, his recording studio near Frankfurt. Henning is a YouTube star, in part because he's hilarious, and in part because he is a trusted reviewer of music gear. Which pedal should you buy? Is this guitar any good? How does this amp sound? Henning and I got to talking about this charity, and he said, I bet that a lot of these companies that I have a relationship with would be interested and willing to donate instruments and equipment to these music schools. So I mentioned this to my friend Simon Okello, the founder and director of the Kenyan music program that my charity supports, One Vibe Africa. A few months later, I got a call from Simon. He said, hey, I talked to the Goethe Institute in Germany, and they agreed to ship donated music equipment and instruments from Germany to Kenya. And from there, we can get them to our music programs. Goethe Institute is part of the German government. It's a program that encourages cultural exchange between Germany and other countries. We got on a call with a representative of the Goethe Institute. And then I flew to Germany to start my next European tour, figuring that I could collect donated gear in between concerts and organize a shipment. My first clue that I may have bit off a bit more than I could chew was when I arrived at my very first gig on this European tour, and somebody showed up to the gig driving a tractor with a trailer behind it full of live music gear and guitars. I spent the rest of the tour carrying around large quantities of music gear like this in the back of my rented SUV. If I wasn't picking up more stuff at a gig, I was circling back to Henning's recording studio and house and dropping it off. More and more music gear just kept showing up, mostly thanks to Henning's many relationships, and the rest thanks to the generosity of the people who came to my concerts. I want to thank these organizations and musicians that donated a particularly large number of gorgeous brand new instruments, mixers, PA speakers, stage lights, or just their valuable time and expertise. I want to thank dozens of my German friends, and these organizations especially, for their help in getting all of this music gear moved from storage place to storage place, organized, cataloged, packed, and padded. Finally, one day, many months after all this started, my friend Christoph sent me these photos from Germany. All of the music gear was finally on pallets and ready to ship, and all the paperwork was in place. I was sitting next to my dad in Michigan when I got all these photos. He was battling pneumonia. He died a few days later. It was pretty great that one of the last things I was able to share with him was the news that all this stuff was headed to Africa at last. Over the next few days and weeks, it all happened very fast. The Goethe Institute loaded all of the donations on a plane. My friends in Kenya then messaged me to confirm that everything had arrived safely in Nairobi. Then they trucked it all across Kenya to the music school at One Vibe Africa. The German ambassador to Kenya showed up to formally hand off all of the donations. The music schools in Uganda and Tanzania sent teams to Kenya to pick up their share of the music gear. Then the very best part. All 3 music programs started sending me photos and video of the youth using these music gear and playing these instruments. And of course, this is just the beginning of the story. Now these kids get to learn how to use the recording gear, play the musical instruments, start playing live gigs with them. The most exciting thing for me is that now all 3 music schools now know each other and are excited to be working together. So we are planning opportunities for them to learn and work together via Zoom and field trips where they can travel across East Africa to visit each other and collaborate. Across borders, across language and cultural barriers, music will be a bridge that connects them all. And that's what it all boils down to. Music as a bridge and a universal language that connects us. That's a cliche, but look what it's done here. It has connected me, random singer-songwriter guy, and my charity in the U.S., to numerous generous friends and allies in Europe, to my friends that run free music schools for disadvantaged youth in Africa, and now these youth who get to connect with each other across borders as they learn to write and record and perform music together. I'm going to share a new video with you every 3 months so that you can follow their progress together. Again, this is just the beginning of the story. Thanks for watching so far, and stay tuned.